This is Corey Jones with the Be Ready with Safety Man podcast. Join us every week for a new podcast. Follow us everywhere podcasts are played and on YouTube, Be Ready with Safety Man. This is Corey Jones. All right, welcome again. It's the Safety Man podcast. I'm Corey Jones, safetyman.co. Everywhere you can find podcasts, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, everywhere you look, Safety Man CO. And I'm here with my normal partner, Anthony.
What's up,
Anthony,
man?
good morning, or good evening, good afternoon,
It feels good to be back in an actual studio and not Zooming anymore.
I know.
Face to face.
Yeah, so don't get nervous, but I don't know if you noticed to my left, I got two Marines.
I see them.
They've been smiling all day, so I feel kind of safe. So can you introduce our guest for me?
Yeah, so we have Staff Sergeant Like and Sergeant Collins. So today we thought, I've known Staff Sergeant for a little bit now, and I thought it'd be cool to bring them on to talk about some safety, precautionary stuff of getting prepared, because these guys are recruiters, so they can tell you what to mentally prepare for, what to physically prepare for when joining the Marines. Because, you know, everyone watches a movie, everyone knows stories, but there's, you know, reality and a movie are completely different.
Yeah. So is it still like Full Metal Jacket? Or?
No.
No?
Different day and age.
All right, so the first question I wanted to ask is, you know, and I might be out of order, I know, because I know Anthony's got some things down, but everything is at that first day when you get off that bus.
Yeah.
You know, so can you tell me, like, I know there's probably trade secrets that you can't release, but what is that first day like when you get off that bus?
Well, I wouldn't say day. It's more that first night. That's going to be the shock and awe. And you're getting a whirlwind of different emotions. You know, you're anxious, you're nervous, you're excited, you're scared. Because, you know, the factor really being is, you know, a lot of people are watching the movies. They're seeing what, you know, Black Friday is like. They're seeing what, you know, boot camp is like based off of social media input. So that's what their expectation is. And then when you're finally sitting on the bus and it happens, that's when the adrenaline starts pumping. So at that moment, you're kind of like nonchalant to what's going on. You're just like, okay, I've seen this, I'm happening. This is actually real time. But, you know, once you get off the bus, you get on those yellow footprints and, you know, you hear that, you know, that drill instructor give your first command. That's when you know it's you know, it's on. It's the real deal and it's happening.
Really?
So it's scary. There's a bunch of different emotions, but it's surreal. It's definitely surreal.
Do people ever leave right then?
Not right then. I would say that first week is where it kind of actually starts to really sink in. When the emotions start, you know, settling down, and when you kind of realize, like, okay, you know, all the, you know, the excitement, the adrenaline fades away. Now, like, I'm here at recruit training, and I'm actually doing this full time. Yeah. And that's when that first training day actually begins.
Okay. So, all right.
So one of the questions I had was, let's say I'm a Marine, or no, I'm sorry, I'm signing up. I want to be a Marine. Physically, what should I be doing to prepare? What is people ask about the police academy, I always tell them start running, right?
Yeah.
And I'm sure it's similar to that aspect as well. So what would you tell a new person coming in, what should we do to prepare them physically?
So when you talk about it in a physical aspect, you definitely, you don't want to be stuck in the gym. A lot of people, they have the persona, you know, Marines are these meatheads, these guys that are constantly in the gym. But you definitely want to work on yourself, your body weight. Because you take a look at any type of real scenario, you're going to be utilizing your body. You're going to be utilizing, whether it's helping out a down person, it's body weight. So you want to do a lot of, you know, calisthenics. You want to be focusing on yourself. Biggest thing is stretching. A lot of people kind of overlook that key point of stretching, which causes a lot of, you know, physical injuries. So stretching, running, doing pull-ups, doing push-ups, crunches, is definitely a way to start preparing your body in that physical aspect of what, you know, recruit training is going to be like.
Wow. Sergeant Collins, I know you're in recruiting now. You've been promoted to sergeant. Congratulations on that.
Thank you.
So, like, can you take me through a little bit about your career, like how you progressed from boot camp to what you did and how you ultimately got into recruiting?
Okay, well, for me, I've been in the Marine Corps for about 7, going on 8 years now. So when I first came in the Marine Corps, I joined in as a reservist. So as opposed to these guys going active duty in the reserve style, I came home back to Jersey. I did my regular job, 9 to 5, whatever that may be. And then on the weekends, I would go and drill and do the Marine thing and still serve my country.
Great.
So while doing all of that, you go through the ranks just like you would anywhere else on active duty side. You essentially you do your job well. You carry yourself in a military manner, and then over time you get promoted. So for me, I started off as a radio operator. Over time, after 5 years or so, I was given the opportunity to essentially advance my career in a different field, and I took the opportunity. So I was able to transition from radio operator to field artillery survey. So it was all still within the same unit, so I didn't have to go anywhere. But I went back to the schoolhouse again as an NCO, as a corporal at the time. Went through the schoolhouse training. Once I went through that schoolhouse training, I came back, started, to learn this new job. Like, I was in a management position, so to speak, but I was still a starter, right? Because I had just came back from the schoolhouse. I didn't know what I was doing. But, over time, you kind of figure things out. You find your place, and then it becomes more normal for you, right? So within that field, I was able to get promoted a bit easier, so to speak, as opposed to the last one, because there wasn't that many of us. There was a select few, and I kind of stood out a little bit more in that standpoint. So at that point, I picked up sergeant and then went from there. And then after, a year or so within that field, I came on recruiting. So.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah. Since we're talking about recruiting, because I think people think that, I mean, definitely me as a younger person, I would think that you're looking for this big beat, dude. What do you? But I mean, it's a lot mental. So what are you looking for in a character that would fit into the Marines? What would you look? What are you looking for?
As far as for like the overall qualifications, physical, mentally.
Yeah, like who the person that walks in, what should they have in their mind and their body ready to roll?
In all honesty, when you take a look at the recruiting aspect, you want someone who's committed. You want someone who knows what they're going to do. And when I say committed, I'm not saying committed to, going strictly to the military. Someone that's going to have that commitment when they say they're going to do something and follow on through that actions, whether that's going through college, through trade school, or making that ultimate decision and going into the military. You want somebody that has that heart, that passion, that commitment. That's what's really going to drive that action for them to follow on through. Then when you take a look at it, a mental aspect, the first qualification or mental test you have to pass is the Armed Service Vocational Aptitude Battery Test. So a lot of the high schoolers know it as the ASVAB. They say it's an easy test, but it is an aptitude battery test. It's going to show you what your strengths and weaknesses are and how that's going to compare into job qualifications. Aside from, the ASVAB being the mental test, the physical test is being physically fit. And that's also on a medical standpoint, making sure that you don't have any underlying medical conditions that might hinder your service in the military or might become a fallback while you're going through recruit training. Recruit training, you're focused. You focus on training. You're focused on preparing for that next step. You don't want to take any risk with your life and try to hide something and say, well, it wasn't a big deal, or, maybe I had medication, or maybe,
Does that happen a lot? Do people try to hide stuff? And
most times people do leave things out, and that's where, we have that conversation. We sit down with them to make sure they open up. So we're not going to put anybody's life in jeopardy. You have one life, one opportunity. Right. You never want to sell yourself short on something like that.
Yeah.
And like I said, the physical aspect is, just maintaining that body composition, making sure you're physically fit. We're not looking for, Leonidas in the 300s. But
see, that's what that's the mental thing. But it's a lot of heart, though, right?
No,
it's a lot of heart.
I mean, we've had individuals, coming in weighing, 95 to 105 pounds. And we've had individuals that lost, 40 to 60 pounds just to get into the military, just to get into the Marine Corps. So it comes in all shapes and sizes, but you want to make sure, according to, your height, your age, you're meeting that weight standard. And that's not, a standard just for the Marine Corps. That's a standard across all branches. But that's pretty much the physical and the mental aspect of it. The biggest thing that we have compared to everyone else is the IST, which is the initial strength test. That is something that we do on a monthly basis for a lot of the pulleys, which consists of a max repetition of pull-ups, a max repetition on 2 minutes of crunches, and then being able to run a 1.5 mile run in under 13 minutes and 30 seconds for males and 15 minutes for females.
Oh, So
Okay.
what I was going to do is, but because of COVID, I haven't been able to work out as much at the gym. But I was going to challenge the Marines to a push-up contest. So he just laughed. He's like, well, "Good luck with that." I don't think I can count high enough for as many push-ups you could probably do, right?
No. Honestly, I don't work out that much.
Yeah. Okay, I can see your guns from here. He's got the gun. I can see. He's not even armed and he's carrying.
It's just a
guns,
tight
right?
shirt. That's all it is.
I hear you.
So all right. So you find someone that's mentally, physically ready to at least join. They've passed the ASVAB. They signed up. They go to basic. How long is basic?
So basic is 13 weeks long.
Okay.
But because of the current circumstances today with COVID-19, they do a 14-day quarantine period in Georgia prior to actually going to Marine Corps Recruit Depot Paris Island. But once they're there, they're undergoing 13 weeks of training before moving on to that next station.
The Crucible. Can you talk about that? Right. That is, I don't know what can we say about it. I don't know. Is it like secret or I've heard things. People might call it Hell Week or what. Could you discuss any of that? He's like, no, sorry.
It sounds like it's just a true test to make sure everything you learned up until then you can apply.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, no, I mean the Crucible in a nutshell, it's your final exam.
Yeah.
I mean, you can be slacking off all you want throughout the year, throughout boot camp, but it's going to show on that final exam. It's going
Right.
to show on the Crucible. And when you take a look at the history of the Marine Corps, making a Marine, recruit training since we've started. The Crucible is what defines what a Marine is. It really does. You have a lot of individuals that go into recruit training with the mentality they want to become Marines. They go through, week in and week out of constantly training themselves physically and mentally to kind of adapt into that warrior mindset and ethos. And then it gets tested on this Crucible. And the Crucible is a 56-hour culminating event where, these recruits are going to be stepped up. They're going to be pushed outside of their comfort zone.
For the viewers that aren't good at math, that's over 2 days.
Yeah.
Thanks for helping me too.
And
Tell them.
they're going to be tested. And this is where we had that concept forged through the fires. They're going to be put in different leadership positions. They're going to be, forced to step it up and actually take charge and take some initiative for the first time. And these guys, mind you, they're running on, I would say, about 4 to 5 hours of sleep. These guys are at least hiking anywhere from starting off the 5 to ending it up to 32 miles of hiking with a 60-pound rucksack, and they're going day in and day out on the go, going through different obstacle courses, different events. That's going to test not just the individual itself mentally and physically, but it's a team aspect. And to get a bunch of individuals working and then add stress and fatigue and tiredness. It definitely starts messing with you in a mental mindset, because at that point when we're tired, we naturally just want to stop. But that's where, as Marines, we learn to adapt and overcome and continue pushing forward. And it's about that last, I would say, 5 hours left of that Crucible when you start making that hike back. For myself, on the West Coast, we did the Reaper, and it was about a 3 to 4 mile hike. It was an incline hike up the Reaper. That's the defining moment. And that's where you know that you're dead, beat, tired, and you want to give up. But you've got 3 miles left, and it's all done, and it's all over. And once you get there, you drop your pack, and you take a look at, what has happened for, that last, 56 hours, but not just 56 hours, but your entire time being down there in recruit training.
Right.
It pays off. It's something that finally relieves you, and it's an accomplishment for the first
Just gave me
time.
goosebumps, man. That's awesome. Sergeant Collins, any misconceptions? Like you get something common that potential recruits or applicants come in that they're like, anything that you would want the viewers to know that this is not what the Marine Corps is about, this is what the Marine Corps is about. Misconceptions that people think or something that, even in 2020 with COVID-19 and all these different things going on, like what would you want a potential recruit to know right now about the Marine Corps?
The one thing that I really want to push forward and have people understand is that the Marine Corps isn't just infantry. Like how when we first came in, we talked about Jarhead and things like that.
Yeah.
Everyone thinks back to those old times and how the old school Marine Corps was portrayed. I mean, at the end of the day, we do stress mission accomplishment. we do stress making sure you put your best foot forward in the Marine Corps. But there's a lot of jobs out there and opportunities for anybody, as long as you qualify for them, that you can enter into in the Marine Corps. So it's not just all infantry. Like, we have guys who do all kinds of different jobs. Like for me, example, I did radio operator in the beginning, and then SSgt Like did administrative work. So like, there's a lot of jobs in the Marine Corps. All it is an opportunity for you, just in case maybe school isn't your thing, or not even that, just because you want to look for something else outside of that. There are a lot of ways to be successful in the Marines. So that's the only thing that I push forward.
Right. So like, you could be in electronics, you could be communications,
Definitely.
you could be in infantry, right?
Mm-hmm.
And recruiting. Like, Marines got to do everything. They still got to eat,
Right.
So you got
so you got guys who do food service. You got
Chef,
guys,
so if you're
who do like HVAC and electrician work. You got guys who do like just anything that you can think of on the civilian side. We kind of incorporate it into the Marine Corps as well. So like, there's always a job for somebody to do, right? Because everybody has to do something, and something always has to get done. So that's how I look at it.
Right. So one other question, and I know you got some more, is, one of the things I did as a police officer was community policing, and I would go a lot of times into the African American community and try to help recruit from that community.
Okay.
Is the Marine Corps doing anything like that, or is there a message that we would want, African American youth, that, hey, this is a potential good job for you, or a good career for you?
No, definitely. We try and reach out to all communities just to kind of make sure everyone's included for the most part. It's more of a, one, if it's something that you want to do, and two, if the Marine Corps is right for you as well. We don't want to force somebody to do anything that essentially will kind of ultimately ruin their life, right? So whenever we sit down and talk to applicants, we make sure we ask them, like, one, is this something that you want to do? You're not being forced into this. And then once we find that out, we can kind of figure out how the Marine Corps can help them achieve what's important to them.
Okay.
So definitely, when it comes to community outreach, we do a lot of that. SSgt Like is really big in the community where he works out at. So, and I'm trying to be like him one of these days, right? Yeah. So
I had a couple things, but one I wanted to get to. I always put out on social media when we do an episode. I kind of put out what we're doing, and I had one person, Ken, who is a Marine himself. He asked, what makes the Brotherhood in the Marines so much different from other branches, especially veterans?
From my eyes and the standpoint, you're always going to hear the terminology, once a Marine, always a Marine. And that,
I was going to say former. I learned that. You don't say former Marine.
There's no former, there's no ex, there's no
I'm in
prime.
the line of fire, so don't say the wrong thing.
Once a Marine, always a Marine. And whether that Marine gets out and goes to school and become a teacher, he's not a teacher that was a Marine. He's a Marine that just happens to be teaching. So it's just the camaraderie, the spirit of corps. And it all stimulates from where it all began, whether it's, back in that little island in Paris Island or out there in Hollywood, that transformation. And like I said, it's that forging. You have individuals and applicants coming all around the world, and, they're raw material. These guys want to be something more. They want to be something bigger and better. And, you take them into recruit, depot, whether it's Paris Island, whether it's San Diego, and you forge them through the fires. I mean, you're talking about stretch. You're talking about something that, 17, 18, all the way up to 27-year-olds have never seen in their life. And you take them out of their element. You make them learn how to adapt and overcome and be, comfortable in uncomfortable positions, just like how an iron worker would with steel. You're taking raw material, you're forging it through the fire, and you're bending and molding that thing. And once you take out that finished product, I mean, you've got this sword. And this sword can be a dangerous thing, both physically and mentally. And when you take a look at the Marine Corps and what makes us different, it's that brotherhood. It's that brotherhood. It's that sisterhood. I'm from Hawaii, 2,000 miles away from here, the little rock in the middle of the ocean. And Sergeant Collins, we probably would have never crossed paths ever before. But here we are in 2020, here in New Jersey. And, I've barely known Sergeant Collins, and we've worked together for a couple months now. But I would do anything for him. And just having that title, having that pride, knowing that, the same things I've been through, whether it's been, 10 years, 8 years, 15, 16, 20 years, he's done the same way. He's walked the same footsteps. And it's that common brotherhood that we have. Or even more than that, just that spirit of corps.
That's incredible. That's incredible.
What we're going to do is, because I know we got to wrap up here in a minute, in the in the description, we'll make sure that we put your contact information down there. If people have questions or they, want to reach out to him, or Sergeant Collins, further, you guys can reach out to them. Is there anything else you want to throw out there before we wrap up today?
The biggest thing that I would say, I mean, especially to the viewers, is there's a lot of opportunities out there in the world. You have one shot to do something great in life, and you have one shot to be someone in life. There's a lot of opportunities to explore the opportunities. A lot of times people are very hesitant on what other people say or what other people tell them to do, and it kind of hinders them from actually exploring their options. Go out there and explore the world. The world is yours. Make the best of it.
I heard a good quote today. I don't know who it's credit to. I saw it online, and I thought it was good for today's topic. But it said, "One decision can change your entire world." And it's like, like you said, you were in Hawaii, you would have ended up meeting people in New Jersey and doing all this stuff. So one, good decision. We're not pushing everyone to sign up for the Marines, but it's something you're looking into.
Right.
One decision could change your world, right? So,
Yeah.
And
again, on behalf of Anthony and I, thank you.
Yes.
For
thank
your
you
service.
for service. Yes.
Thank you for service.
Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you.
I've worked with a lot of Marines who transitioned to police department with me, and they are some of the greatest people to work for. Even though I was a sergeant, they had no problem going, "Hey, Sarge, why don't you let us handle this one?" They took command when they needed to take command, and I respected that. They did a fantastic job. I feel safer already as an American citizen knowing that you two are Marines and that you're also helping groom the next generation of Marines coming in. So thank you for that. I keep up the good work.
And I could say, even though we are not Marines, we have been trained by Marines on firearms, PT, and drill. So even though we can't be a part of the Marines, we could say we've been trained by the best.
We've definitely been affected by the Marines.
We've definitely been trained by them in our academies for sure. So we've got the secondhand knowledge. So we got.
I also got to give a shout out to my cousin DC Jones. He did 4 years in the Marine Corps back in the 1980s. He was on aircraft carriers and aircraft area ordnance man, and he got to go to Japan, and then he transitioned to New Jersey State Police. Did 27 years there, but for him, I wouldn't have made most of the decisions that I made in my life as far as getting into the police department, and he helped me through that, helped prep me for my police academy and the training and all that. So definitely the Marine Corps' influence going back even just 20 years, 25 years of my life was effective. So again, thank you. You guys are doing a fantastic job. Stay safe. God bless you, and keep it up.
Thank you, sir.
Appreciate it. Thank you, guys. Make sure you guys subscribe and comment below. See ya.